I think we're ready. If I could get my monitor situated. Figure I would have had all that stuff set up before, but no. Alright, here we go. Alright, take two. Last week we covered downloading Unreal Engine, setting up your account, getting your project created. If you want to try and make a simple single player game where a person walks into a shop of some sort and interacts with your product, whether it be an arcade machine like I'm doing, a pet store, or whatever, you can swap up the concept, but we're going to go with an arcade store. And after last week, we loaded our default level, which gives us a room, and we deleted a lot of the extra content to give us a blank room to build our shop. This week, one of the first things we're going to be doing is creating a location for the arcade machine to spawn in. The arcade machine will have multiple areas. It'll have the location for the machine itself. It'll have the location for where the player stands and plays the machine. It'll have locations for people to watch. It'll have a display, which will be part of the object imported, and we'll be able to drop and drag these areas over the map and dynamically load arcade machines into them when they're purchased. So the first thing we want to do is create a location for all this content so we can be organized and it can be found easy. We're going to create a new top-level folder called Arcade Machines. We're going to put our arcade machine data in here. Now, if you right-click down here, one of the first things I'm going to do is create a new blueprint. By creating a new blueprint, this will bring up the main classes. If you know what you want ahead of time, you can go look through all this other stuff. But right now, we're just going to create a basic blueprint. What we're going to do is we're going to select the actor. This is an object that can be placed in the world. It can have multiple characteristics. It can include these other components down here. But for right now, we're just going to do a basic actor. There are pawns where you can possess and control characters and vehicles. You can have an NPC character that can walk around and do things, and then there are a bunch of other modes that we'll look at later on in the series. So we want to create an actor, and we're going to call this actor arcade location. Let's put machine location. Alright, now we're going to open up this actor, and this is going to be our root object for how all the machines are governed. And we will be placing these in our store. So one of the first things we're going to need is to define an area in which the machine will exist. So you can right-click your mouse button, use WASD to navigate around. If you hold down on right-click, and I'm bringing us up to a little top-level view so we can kind of see the layout easier. This point right here is showing us where the center of the scene is because nothing else is in here. And what we will do is we will make that invisible later on. In fact, I'm probably going to replace it. So the first thing we're going to do is define an area in which the machine will exist in the game. Now, if you click on Add Component in the top left, you'll see that there are a bunch of different objects we can add to our blueprint here. When you start going down the list, you'll come up to your shapes. Now, at first glance, this might be something you think you want to use, but this would actually put a big box on the screen, not an empty area. So we want to actually skip our shapes, and we're looking for a collision field area. It will allow us to define shape an area and what can happen when that is touched or interacted with. So I'm going to name this arcade slot. And I'm going to make it the root. I drug it up top, so if you notice, my little white ball disappeared, right? And the main focus of our object and what determines the position of everything else is now going to be this box we've set up. So what I want to do is make this box big enough for an arcade, big enough for a person to stand in, big enough for some people to kind of look over their shoulder and watch. I want to make it so there's a little room between the box and the wall so you can see the power cords and have someone pretend like they're doing maintenance on it. You know, it could be one of the tasks in the game. Sure. But, we'll flesh that out more as we go. So right now we're going to find that main area and we will make it, click on the box up here and look at these 3 buttons. You'll be able to see your orientation. So I thought, apparently not. There's got to be some way to show the orientation on here. Ah, here it is, my bad. So X is down, Y is over, and Z is straight up. Now, we're going to take our X and we're going to make this 7 units long. So, we are going to make our width 6 units long. Height doesn't matter in this instance because we don't have like height of our machine's not limited by this box of the area. So if we plop a machine in there, it can go higher than that. Not too worried about how tall it is. It just needs to be tall enough for a character to walk into it and interact with it, collide with it, if you will. Now, when I say it's going to collide with it, it's not going to just stop. You can walk through it. And that's a setting that you set yourself. So you can make it to where it would just stop. But we're not. So we have our arcade slot. And this is the box we're going to drop down on the map. And it'll determine where the arcade machines can be placed in your shop. And so players will see. I'm going to uncheck hidden in game. And so now players will be able to actually see this box. And so they'll be like, oh, I can go put a game there. Let me go over and see what this does, or whatever. But I don't want a yellow box. I want a green box. I want green to be good. Right? But I don't see my color change. That's interesting. Is there another color? Interesting. Well, I thought that would change the shape color. Apparently I'm wrong. Alright, we'll worry about the color of that box later. The second thing we want to add is the box for the arcade machine itself. Let's go down to our box collision. We're going to call this machine location. Now, I am going to want my machine to have scale it's going to be 4. It's normally wider than it is deep. Oh. Okay. So since this is under the arcade slot, I actually need to do a little math conversion here. So if this is 7, and I want 0.5714. Okay. If I want it to equal about 4, I need to do 0.57. Go. But that looks too much, so I think I want to do 3. Control Z. Ugh. Machine location, so let's change this to 3 divided by 7. 0.43. What we want. Alright, so this is going to be the width of our machine, the depth of our machine. We have a little space in the back so that if you need to like unplug it or do some like maintenance on it, you can. We'll make it so it can swing out. Like somebody can like kind of turn it, you know? So you can look back there and also turn it. And now we need to get our width of the machine here, which is going to be, would this be 0.85 of the... There we go. Nah, let's go 0.75. Alright. And then we will have our arcade box spawn in there when somebody purchases one. When somebody walks up to the machine, they're going to want to play it. So we need a location. We're going to pick a sphere because it's going to cover a more uniform area around our center. And we'll put it right about here. And so the person will walk up to the machine. They will enter this area, and they should be able to... Actually, let's make it a capsule. No, not box. Capsule. I'm going to give them a little bit wider of an area to go into the machine. So now that I have this object selected, you'll notice we have 3 hot buttons up here in the top right. One that'll let us move the object around, one that'll let us rotate it, and one that'll let us adjust the size. It can also be done by editing these numbers over here. It's just a matter of which one's easiest for you. And there are different instances like earlier where it was easier for me to just do the math and punch the number in versus figure it out. So I actually want this capsule facing sideways, right? Like, people aren't going to enter the machine from way up here. They're going to come over from the side, or from the front. So what I need to do is take this. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now, I'm going to click my stretch and scale. Perfect. So whenever somebody's character walks into this zone, they'll be able to play the game. Player location. Make it relevant to what it is. And then the next thing we're going to need is, what if somebody's playing a game and their friend's there? Somebody wants to watch, right? First thing we're going to do is we're going to add another capsule. In fact, so I'm going to delete this capsule. And I'm going to add this capsule a different way to show you. We are going to Control W to duplicate this capsule. Duplicate, Control W, because I want one of the same shape, and I'm going to want it a little bit bigger size. So it'll be easy for me to just take this and already have it in the right orientation and to stretch it to where I want it versus make a new capsule. What I'm going to do is duplicate. If you'll notice, it wants you to rename it first. We're going to name this called Watch Area. And And this is going to be the area which people walk into and can choose to watch a game. It's not where they're actually going to stand and watch it. We're going to have a different location. This is the area to where they can come interact with the bots. So I'm going to drag this out behind the player. We're going to stretch it out to encompass, and then we're also going to increase it like this. There we go. So now if a person will come back in this area any bit, I will add the command in to prompt the user, hey, do you want to watch the person playing the game? Or if it's an NPC character, they'll choose to watch the game or not. But that's what this area will fire off, that process. Next thing we're going to add is the 2 locations that people can actually watch from, and these are going to be a lot smaller, and we're going to use a sphere. If I go to add component, go to sphere collision again, we're just actually going to take this, we're going to put it right here over the person's shoulder. Make sure the location's kind of on the up and up. Perfect. We're going to call this, we're going to keep it within the watch area so that if we move the watch area, this spot will be in the same location relative to it. Viewer 1. I hit Control W, duplicate, and if you'll notice, Viewer 2 is already named because it incremented the number. We're going to keep that, and we're going to go over to the other side. So now, I have this blueprint, right? Nothing's in it. You think? Doesn't look that good. But we have an area that will dictate, and look, it turned green. We have an area that will show us where the player can place arcade machines. We have an area within that that will allow the arcade machines to spawn. We have an area for the player to stand and connect to the machine. We have an area for people to go up and watch, and then for them to stand and watch. So we have, for our arcade simulator, our arcade store tycoon or arcade titan, we have the ability to drop these in our level now, design the layout of our first shop, and we'll be able to, once we have a layout of our shop done, move on to creating the actual arcade machines and people and stuff that will populate. So we're doing good. Go ahead and hit compile to check everything we've put in and then save. And also when you hit compile, it will allow other parts of the game, like when I go, for example, if I want to come down to blueprints and I want to go to my character blueprint, and I wanted to add something from machine location. Now that I've hit compile, it will be visible in this blueprint. So one way to call other actors in your game from a component you're working is to use a cast to function. What that'll do is it'll take what you're working with, it'll cast it to a certain type of object and make sure it is actually a machine location object. It is. It'll follow whatever code you put after this arrow. If it's not, it'll go down this branch. But now that we have saved machine location and compiled it, if I was working through my code here, say after jumping, I wanted to be like, is a machine location have a viewer there? So I would take whatever object the person was running into, I would connect it here, then I would go viewer 2. See, now I can see the objects in that class from my character object because I've compiled it. Now we can take our machine location and we could say branch, which is saying true or false. Is this going on here? We'll say valid. Is it valid? Oops, wrong one. Sorry. And if that object's valid, we would say print string, yay. And if it wasn't, oh, fail. This is not an arcade machine. And so what that would effectively do is take our new class we've built and see if a viewer is there, if we had the code included in machine location. And so that's how we'll kind of link all these different objects together. Okay. Well, we don't want to do that after player jumps. So we want to delete that. And then we want to compile and save. And then our changes should be good. So now we have our machine location. We're going to go drop however many of these we want for our beginner level. It's not going to be like a 50 machine arcade store because it's your very first store. You're getting started, ground level, right? That's going to be like a little small arcade shop. Let's go ahead and go here. Let's come out to our level and we can see here's our beautiful little room. We'll add a door later. But we want to compare what we just made to our level and make sure the scale's right first. If I take this here, looks a little small. What do you think? I would expect it to be maybe 1.5 times bigger. So, oops. So let's see what it looks like a little bigger. What's 1.5 times 7? That's 10.5. Now that looks about the right size. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this, move it here. We're going to just rotate it and do a quick test. We're going to walk our first person character up to it and see if the size looks good. Because before we move on, we want to make sure we have our dimensions right. So let's take a look. You can see, oh, I need to make all the boxes visible for the test. But that looks, yeah, we'll see. Let's edit machine location with that link over here. I'm actually going to go make all these visible in-game. Just for this test. When we're playing the actual game, we don't want all these different areas to be visible. But for us to be able to see yellow is going to be the machine location. Player will be blue. Watch area. Kind of leave pink. And these will make yellow. No, wait, we already made some yellow, didn't we? We'll make them white. The viewers will be a high contrast color. Alright, compile save. Now, all these different colors should be here. I should be able to see what's going on. Let's hit play. Let's take a look at this again. See, here we go. So, I don't see the box for the arcade machine. Let's make sure I got this in. Machine location. Now I've got it. Okay. Let's raise this up just a little so you can see a little better. And let's hit play. Now let's go take a look. So here's the big area that the box will allow. If I come back here and look, see this is too wide. And the machine's not that big. So maybe the problem's not that my blueprint's too big. Maybe my blueprint was right before. So what we're going to do is we're going to shrink it back and take a look. This area looks about right. The front machine. This needs like a quarter off this way, like right, maybe 20%. 20%. Yeah, I think it's not quite half, but that needs to be shrunk. And this needs to be shrunk too. And so the answer might not be, hey, change the size of the blueprint here that holds all of our stuff. It might actually be adjust the size of the room to make the scale more correctly to a small shop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill my coffee up. I got to do a quick boys room break, and I will be back in just a moment. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I was muted when I came back from my coffee. Fuck it. I'm gonna go back and add audio later. I think I can do it. So, in the first week, we created our account. We downloaded Unreal Engine. We got our tools set up. We opened our level and we got things prepared to create content. And in week 2, we have created blueprint areas for our arcade machine, blueprint areas for the table games, blueprints for ATMs, token machines. We've scaled all of our blueprints to our character size. We've scaled our level to our character size. We are ready to start adding more content next week. Start about 10 minutes late today due to a technical issue, but ideally we will start this at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch TV. Username FirebreakST.